Welcome, dear souls who sometimes feel weary on the journey to conquer your goals. Have you ever wondered what creates the extraordinary motivation in some people? A motivation that doesn't come from external praise, is not extinguished by failure, and is not shaken by hardship. Unshakable motivation isn't a fleeting burst of energy. It is a persistent source of strength, a flame nurtured from within. It doesn't depend on external factors, but comes from a steadfast mindset, an unyielding will, and a clear purpose. Unshakable motivation, in the sense we contemplate today, is a philosophy of life, an invitation to find inner strength, to turn every adversity into fuel for your journey. In these moments, we will explore 5 profound lessons, 5 keys from Stoic philosophy that can help you develop an unshakable, unbeatable motivation. These are not dry pieces of advice, but philosophies of life drawn from the depths of human experience. The first and most important lesson for unshakable motivation is to accept and love your fate, amor fati. Most of our motivation is extinguished when we resist reality. We complain about our circumstances, we lament our difficulties, and we feel wronged when things don't go our way. Our energy is completely consumed by fighting against the flow of life. Real-life example. Someone faces a major failure at work. Instead of accepting it as a part of life and learning from it, they spend months dwelling in regret and anger. They lose all motivation to start over because they cannot accept the truth. Meanwhile, a Stoic would accept that failure not with resignation, but with resilience. They would see it as an opportunity to practice courage and wisdom, and use that very experience as motivation to move forward. Philosophical analysis. Stoic philosophy teaches us that everything that happens has a purpose, and every obstacle is an opportunity. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher, wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Unshakable motivation doesn't come from things being easy, but from the ability to turn every adversity into fuel. When you accept and love your fate, you no longer waste energy on resistance. You view every difficulty as an integral part of your journey, a test to make you stronger. Your motivation is no longer dependent on ease, but on your will to overcome. This acceptance becomes a solid foundation for an unbeatable motivation. The second lesson for unshakable motivation is to focus all your energy on what you can control. In a world with so many factors beyond our grasp, like the actions of others, their opinions, or unexpected events, scattering your energy on those things will exhaust you and kill your motivation. Motivation truly exists only when you feel you are in command of your own life. Real-life example. Someone wants to lose weight, but is constantly worried about friends' judgments or can't control the tempting foods around them. They spend all day thinking about those things and lose all motivation to exercise or eat healthy. Meanwhile, a person with unshakable motivation would focus on what they can control, their own choices about what to eat, how to exercise, and how they react to judgment. They don't waste energy on meaningless things, but focus on meaningful actions. Philosophical analysis. Epictetus, who was once a slave, taught us a core lesson. Some things are in our control, while others are not. Unshakable motivation doesn't come from controlling the outcome, but from controlling your own effort. When you focus on what you can control, your motivation is no longer dependent on luck or others' opinions. It comes from self-mastery, from knowing that every effort you make has meaning, regardless of the final result. This self-mastery becomes an endless source of energy because it is not affected by external factors. You will feel strong, in command of your own life, and that is the foundation of an unshakable motivation. The third lesson for unshakable motivation is to contemplate impermanence, memento mori. Most of our procrastination and laziness come from the illusion that we have an infinite amount of time. We waste time on trivial things and lack the motivation to pursue higher goals because we forget that this life is finite. Real-life example. Someone wants to start a new project or learn a new skill, but constantly procrastinates. They think, I'll do it tomorrow. I still have plenty of time. Day after day, their intentions remain just intentions. They waste their precious time scrolling through social media or watching meaningless entertainment, forgetting their higher goals. It's not until they look back that they realize how much time and how many opportunities they have wasted. Philosophical analysis. Stoic philosophy placed the contemplation of death as one of the most important practices. Seneca said, "We have no time to waste." Memento mori is not about gloom or pessimism. It is a powerful reminder to live a conscious and purposeful life. When you contemplate impermanence, you realize that every day is a precious gift and every moment has value. This will create a powerful motivation to act immediately without procrastinating. You will focus on what truly matters, let go of the trivial, and seize every moment to pursue your goals. Your motivation will no longer be a forced effort, but a conscious choice to live a full and meaningful life. The fourth lesson for unshakable motivation is to practice voluntary discomfort, premeditatio malorum. Our motivation is often dependent on desires and comfort. When we get too used to ease, we lack the drive to struggle, to overcome hardship. A strong will cannot be built when it is chained by habits and convenience. Real-life example. Someone is so accustomed to having every comfort, from air conditioning and ready-made food to modern transportation. When they encounter a small difficulty, like a power outage or a broken-down car, they become irritable, upset, and lose all motivation. They have become a slave to convenience. Meanwhile, a Stoic practices not being dependent on those things. They can live for a few days without modern comforts and still feel at peace. Philosophical analysis. Stoic philosophy laid the foundation for freedom by practicing voluntary discomfort. Seneca encouraged us to occasionally live like a poor person, to prepare for hard times, and to realize that happiness does not lie in wealth. Your motivation is no longer dependent on external things, but on your self-mastery. When you practice voluntary discomfort, you break the chains of desires and dependencies. You realize that what you truly need to live a meaningful life is very little. This will give you a stronger will, making you less susceptible to the temptations of momentary comforts. Your motivation will no longer be a battle against yourself, but a freedom from meaningless desires, helping you focus on higher goals. The fifth and final lesson for unshakable motivation is to nurture virtue. Fleeting motivation often comes from external goals, money, fame, recognition. But when those goals are achieved or fail, the motivation disappears. Unshakable motivation comes from a deeper source, living a virtuous life in accordance with nature. Real-life example. Someone is motivated to make money, but when they achieve their goal, they feel empty and lose their direction. They have no higher purpose to strive for. Meanwhile, another person is motivated to live virtuously, to contribute to society, to cultivate wisdom and courage. Their motivation does not depend on external results, but on the conscious choice to act virtuously. Whether they succeed or fail, they still feel a sense of meaning, and their motivation is never extinguished. Philosophical analysis. Stoic philosophy considers virtue as the ultimate goal of life. Every action we take should be guided by wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. Unshakable motivation is not a forced effort, but the highest expression of virtue. When you are disciplined in performing good actions, you are living a meaningful life, and that is true freedom. When you place virtue first, your motivation will no longer be a flame that flares up and dies. It will become an eternal source of energy, unaffected by external things. You won't need to seek motivation from the outside, because it will already be within you, a part of your very nature. That is when you achieve unshakable motivation, an inner strength that helps you live a meaningful and fulfilling life. Dear friends, Unshakable motivation is not a gift of fate, but a conscious choice to master yourself. It is the flame lit from within, helping you overcome every challenge, every temptation, and every fear. Remember, motivation is not a forced effort. Motivation is the only path to true freedom. Seneca said, "Life, if you know how to use it, is a great gift." Where will you begin your journey to find unshakable motivation? Will you accept your fate, focus on what you can control, contemplate impermanence, practice voluntary discomfort, or place virtue first? Share your reflections and feelings in the comments below. Thank you for joining us. May you always find peace and profound tranquility within your soul, mastering your own destiny through mental self-control.